Catalyst Site 8 is currently a very vacant and underutilized space, with most of the site being occupied by arena parking. With an absence of a central green space downtown, it is important to preserve the current park by creating a public green space that serves Wichitans year-round. The site is well described as having a great location with a bad reputation. This makes it an excellent location for residential development, which is currently minimal in the downtown area. Successful surrounding retail developments like St. Francis, Douglas, Old Town, and Commerce Street sustain activity that could potentially create Nafsker Park as an established destination. We are proposing the redevelopment of Nafsker Park into downtown Wichita's living room. This will include a park space with a residential building with program and activities that support each other and the rest of downtown. Here in the living room, we want to bring people together to live, gather, eat, relax, and play together, just as one would do in their own living room. The living room welcomes young adults and new families to become future residents of the site to create a new community. The 5 primary goals of the living room are to engage the community through hosting communal events on the site that draw Wichitans from all over the region into downtown. We want to promote healthy lifestyles by offering different modes of transportation to the site, like biking and walking. We want to provide places of relaxation for downtown visitors and the local community to gather and share in-city life as the site continues to develop. We want to offer economic opportunities for small businesses by creating a thriving retail destination. And lastly, we want to connect destinations to allow better passageways to, from, and through our site to the surrounding destinations. We believe that these 5 goals would bring the much-needed attention to Nafsker Park and foster the creation of a central living room for downtown Wichita that brings the citizens together. Our plan includes 2 stages of development. The intervene phase looks at the short-term plan with an estimated 6-month to 2-year timeline. The accomplish phase operates on a longer-term plan from 3 to 5 years. Initially, a calendar will be placed on the corner of St. Francis and Douglas in order to generate the community's ideas for events to be held in the living room. The intent is to activate the corner by displaying the current and following month in an oversized calendar that a passerby can interact with. The ideas shared on this board will inform project managers in order to facilitate activities and future events in the living room. After the installation of the calendar, the first event in the intervene phase to be held will be the painting party. This painting party will invite Wichitans to the site to help paint new pathways in order to more specifically define pedestrian and cyclist space and redesignate areas of activity. In addition, the painting party will close connection gaps between neighboring districts while bringing the community together to create awareness and support of the living room. Pathways and connections to be painted include a pathway that extends across Douglas and St. Francis onto our site to activate the corner, and paths throughout the site to connect destinations that will be developed in the future. Another pathway will run from Commerce Street through the living room, past the emerging Spaghetti Works adaptive reuse and onto Douglas Avenue. Another painted pathway will serve as a placeholder for a proposed pedestrian boardwalk that runs parallel to the train tracks along Santa Fe, which will be further developed in the accomplish phase. Ideally, this boardwalk will begin in the Commerce Street Art District and continue north all the way through Douglas onwards to Old Town. This provides a car-free area featuring a walkable retail promenade. This boardwalk could provide interest in the redevelopment of the existing backings of the buildings along Santa Fe while creating a new shopping destination. The pathways are intended to promote healthy transportation choices by offering sufficient bike transportation to and around the site, as well as pedestrians. A specified north-south bike lane should also be painted to connect the east-west bike lanes as a part of the larger bicycle master plan. This will connect the arena to successful new retail avenue slightly north along St. Francis. The north-south bike lane would eventually be made permanent by eliminating the existing parallel parking through our next event, D-Pave. This community event will invite Wichitans back to Nafsker Park to deconstruct barriers and obstacles on the site which inhibit access and visibility. Step 1 is to remove the existing brick wall that creates a barrier between the pedestrian and the park. The disassembled bricks will eventually be used for constructing benches and other park furniture in the accomplish phase. The second step will be to take down the concrete wall on the south end of the site, which separates the existing concrete parking to allow visibility to the south area of the site. Lastly, we will level the current sidewalk that borders Williams and St. Francis to accommodate the proposed north-south bike lane. Once park obstacles have been removed, temporary pop-up shops, food carts, and incubator space will be rented out to potential investors and business owners. These spaces will allow businesses to run a trial period before committing to a lease in the eventual permanent structure on site. Weekly markets held in the East Lot as a placeholder for the future building will allow local farmers and artists to sell their goods and craft. Chair and table bombing will also occur on the site to facilitate places for gathering and activity. With these community events framed around the calendar, A year-round interest can bring exposure to the site as a viable place for development. By bringing the community together around common interests, we have begun to connect destinations to and through our site, promote healthy lifestyles with bike and pedestrian travel options, offer economic opportunity to new businesses, and provide places of relaxation with more options for sitting, lounging, or laying through installations and constructed objects. Eventually, the intervene phase evolves into the accomplish phase, creating the permanent living room of downtown Wichita for people to live, gather, eat, relax, and play together. The park will be stretched southward to overtake the old parking lot, and a building will be constructed in the existing Spaghetti Works lot. The pathways painted during the intervene phase will become paved and integral to the site. These pathways define the site boundaries and specify spaces with designated program. The pathways are the essential method of movement around the living room and are illuminated with LED lights. These lights are fueled by solar panels that collect daytime sunlight in order to power the nighttime lights as a tribute to the Magic City. The density of the light features will signify points of access and higher activity and disperse and diffuse in intensity in the more intimate spaces. This lighting system is intended to show the transitions from the flexible park space to the programmed building. To unify the site characteristics and create a unique language for the living room, adjustable tensile fabric will be used around the site and on the building to provide shading and cover on hot or rainy days. The fabric will extend over pathways in open space and in some places connect up to the building to provide cover. A type of sculptural column would be developed from reclaimed railroad ties and recycled airplane parts to bring culturally inspired art into the living room. These columns provide park furniture with incorporated benches and become a light exhibition at night to again celebrate the history of the Magic City. These columns would feature different attachment points to allow individuals to adjust the level of exposure or coverage they experience on the site. The building program contains 3 stories of studio, 1-bed, 2-bed, and 3-bed residential units. An underground parking structure accessible by both Douglas and Williams, containing 84 parking spaces, resident amenities, park amenities like restroom and locker space, restaurants with parkside patio space covered by the adjustable tensile structures, and retail on the east side of the building. A park information center would be used to plan and facilitate the living room calendar events on the site and host community meetings. In addition to park support space on the ground floor, we are proposing to include a bike transportation facility specifically for the residents of the building. This would promote healthy lifestyles for the residents while allowing them to access amenities like bike storage, repair classes, and maintenance. The residential entry is located on the south end of the building along Williams and opens into a lobby for access to the upper floors of the building. The main cladding material for the building is brick to celebrate surrounding existing conditions like the Spaghetti Works factory, the neighboring residential buildings to the west, and the buildings along Douglas to the north. The character of the adaptive reuse buildings to the south influenced the living room building footprint by having it reflect the fine-grained urban fabric occurring south of the site. A central courtyard plaza to the west frames the pathway between the buildings that leads to the Prairie Line Park proposed by Catalyst Site 9. Along the central north-south axis of the building, a service corridor would provide support for the ground floor businesses. The roof of the southernmost proposed building would host a communal resident gathering space with a garden, utilizing the tensile cover system as seen elsewhere on the site. The east side of the building is utilized as retail along the Santa Fe pedestrian boardwalk. These retail spaces allow the pop-up shops that emerged during the intervene phase to become permanent businesses on site. These shops will activate the boardwalk and make it an iconic feature of Wichita that expands retail opportunities and provides pedestrian exposure to safe, habitable areas. The living room park will remain transformative and adaptable throughout the year to accommodate for all different types of activities, situations, and events. Because Wichita has such an extreme climate, offering events and activities on the site that are appropriate for existing weather conditions is necessary for optimal occupancy of the site. Monthly events as defined by the calendar will be held, such as snowman building contests in January, an Easter egg hunt in April, a 4th of July potluck, or pumpkin carving in October. To keep high community involvement, the initially implemented calendar will remain as a permanent feature on the site to promote and advertise for upcoming events in the living room. The layout of the park will remain open in most areas to allow flexibility of the space in order to host these events, with pathways that lead to a raised central platform for a meeting area, a lounge space made of reused brick on the east side of the park, open space on the north, barbecue and fire pits on the west, and event space to the south. These areas are defined using the LED-lit pathways and an overhead light show on the tensile coverings that illuminate the park. Redesigning Catalyst Site 8, Nafsker Park, into downtown Wichita's living room will help bring community engagement to downtown. Connect thriving destinations around the site. Offer economic opportunities for small retail and restaurant owners. Promote healthy lifestyles through reliance on walking or biking as primary modes of transportation, and provide places of relaxation to escape city life. The living room will become the place where downtown workers come for their break, where local residents come to walk their dog, read a book, or even sunbathe, where couples come to picnic, where fitness groups come to work out, where families come to relax and shop, and where Wichitans from all over the city come to celebrate holidays and festivities through special living room events. The development of the living room can foster the revitalization of downtown Wichita by creating a place for people to live, gather, eat, relax, and play.